Hello, creatives, community, kind folks. Sorry about the delay. We're going to talk about I don't know how to phrase this, levels of evil. Um, anyway, tabletop role playing games. A very common trope amongst tabletop role playing games are like monster adversary levels. Most commonly, Dungeons and Dragons has levels for characters, and then we have like a challenge rating for those same things. And well, Star Wars kind of did the same thing. So, while we can talk about tabletop role playing games, we're also going to talk about like each level uh, of the enemies that we have seen in the Andor show, and do they deserve to be at that level? I don't know. Let's talk about it. It's kind of cool. It's really kind of cool. Come on. Hey guys, it's getting a little harder and harder to wake up in a timely fashion for this channel. Lots of distractions and things happening. Got my backyard set up. It's like a little oasis back there. So I'm really proud of it, but it takes a lot of energy. So it cuts into the sleep time, which cuts into the wake up time, which cuts into the channel. So I apologize for that. But we do have ourselves some enemies here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share this out. We have some enemies here that are in the Andor show, and we have a really good lineup of what would the tabletop trope be? Would it be the next big bad evil guy? The players go into the caves of chaos and destroy the great evil in there, only to find out after the game, because everybody wants to keep playing their characters, that there's an even greater evil. And Star Wars, having a basis around a generally military ranked kind of a function, the Empire very clearly has your lower level characters or adversaries, enemies, and of course someone in power above them. In the Andor show, clearly, yeah, you're the first one here. The Andor show clearly has this trope in spades. Let's put the image of them up here because I've got the little thumbnail here. And oh, come on, computer, you're not that slow. So one of the great things that we could, and see if this looks any good. There we go. Yeah. It is a little bit late here. So of course, to the very left, we have here Cyril Karn, right? And Cyril is our first, I'm going to say, like, adversary for our character Andor. And we don't have to get too deep into these characters' personalities or anything like that, but it is kind of cool to see this lineup because we've been doing this in storytelling and tabletop role-playing games since its inception and long before that, long after that. I'm sorry, and here we have a great opportunity to, we like to steal. I'm sorry, we like to have an homage to our creative sparks, and I thought we would do that today. So one of the great things about having a lineup of adversaries is that you can layer their personalities onto the other cannon fodder enemies that you have for your game or your storytelling or whatnot. So first we have ourselves Cyril Karn, and Cyril Karn is like a true believer. It's a great way to express to your players what the world is like, and through our bad guys, be able to tell some express to them a lot of your world building, and also layer on a little bit of their personality onto your cannon fodder enemies, whether you want to make it mechanical, like for example, if any of them have a unique ability, which we're going to bring up with Deidre especially, but if any of them have a great unique ability, you could express that with the enemies. Maybe your cannon fodder enemies are very organized, or they are very perceptive, or they are far more wild and bestial, or they have like some great skill or equipment that gives them a greater ability to fight your heroes in the story. So when we start with Cyril Karn, Cyril really doesn't have too many skills, and he's actually not very organized, despite the fact that he took in, what was it, the first season, he took in his suit and added some extra piping to make it look a little bit more efficient and whatnot. And this is a great way to let your players be badasses, because he did assemble, or try to assemble, a group of bad guys to go after Andor, and Andor and friends basically, bitch slapped his entourage there. Good thing, right? Amon says, "Good morning. A villain usually is stronger in a way. It's stronger in a way than the heroes. Otherwise, the fight would be boring." Yes, and this may be a way to allow the players to use an exploit. So, like your bad guys, Ishtar could have a special ability or gift, but at the same time they also have like a blind spot or a weakness or something. And how do I explain this one? It can be difficult to introduce your main. Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much. Yeah, Amon says, and the conflict doesn't need to be physically alone. Exactly. Meaning, like, one of the hard parts in tabletop role-playing games is to have the classic social standoff, right? Where the heroes are standing across from the bad guy, and they have the verbal interplay of explaining their positions and their hatred for each other, and maybe even some, dare I say, like, not just honor, but like, oh, you're a good adversary for my evil machinations, but I will take you down. And having that conversation can be a little bit difficult. But with how Star Wars has done it, and what we could steal from it is that let's be honest, the stormtroopers, and there's different names of different stormtroopers. I don't know, what would you call them, with the Hoth ice troopers, and then there's like the flame troopers and all that kind of thing. You can pick and choose any of them as you like, but their behaviors are affected by the leadership that you see here, and then that can be a way to flavor, like let's go with fantasy, like your orc raiders or your hobgoblin armies or something. You could flavor them by the leadership that is in front of them. And you could even have like little lieutenants here and there, like the orc chieftain or whatever, as the mouthpiece for one of these other bigger bad guys that you really want to keep in the background, but because you don't want your players just murder killing them once you introduce them. Amon says, I don't like that too many enemies become you need to be this strong to measurements to beat. Oh, I think I know what you mean. What I like is to put an enemy in front of a physically strong character they can't punch to win. Now that one I love. That one I really love, because it's the Superman Lex Luthor conflict, right? Where the whole point is that Superman could very easily physically take out Luthor, but he doesn't, because Luthor has like outsmarted him, is a social predator, apex predator, like Luthor usually is socially and intellectually, and so has usually outthought, and Superman can't punch his way out of it. And that's where stories involving those characters, it's very difficult to do it in tabletop role-playing games, but it is kind of cool though, and some games lend itself to that. Dungeons and Dragons doesn't really do that, because the reward system is beating things about the head and shoulders. But like Powered by the Apocalypse, some of these yes, no, if and or buts kind of games will allow you to do that. Yeah, like you see, like Amon says, Superman could punch Luthor and win, but that doesn't solve the conflict. Exactly. Actually, probably it would extend the conflict longer than we need to. Drew says, yes, D&D is just a bad game. It's a different game. I don't know if we're going to say call it bad, but its reward system, its a conflict and reward system is a physical one. While they encourage you to have like other more like psychological and social things, there really isn't a exchange and reward system. Yeah, I want to call it bad. All right, no problem. I want to put your put the chat window up. It's gonna get rid of my face. You don't need to see my face. There we go. So, boom, there. All right. So we start with Cyril Karn. Cyril Karn isn't the most engaging character, and a bit of a quite a bit of like a true believer, right? And a bit of an idiot as well. So we like that because now we can level up to Deidre. Deidre Mero, and Amon says it escalates the conflict even and gives Luthor material to get more influence out of it. Yep, sure does. Sure does. As a matter of fact, that's one of the big main story points when like Luthor becomes the president of the United States, and that was a big story element about like Superman being frustrated about taking him down, and of course Bruce Wayne, Batman's got to team up with him, and is like basically like schooling Clark Kent, like, dude, I told you, you got to do it my way. You got to work with me, and it's going to require some like deception and whatnot. Yeah, very much so. So then we go to Deidre, and Deidre is more of her skill is investigation. While she does have a big blind spot, her ability to perceive what is going on and to hunt down like an investigator or a bounty hunter or some kind of enforcer is highly noted in the Star Wars Andor series. And so Deidre here, she can layer on to some of our bad guys an ability to hunt down and uncover what maybe our heroes are doing. Maybe they're very good at, maybe one or more of the heroes are like a rogue-like and hide. And unfortunately, maybe with her leadership, our cannon fodder characters, our cannon fodder enemies, maybe are very good at finding the player characters, or they're disturbing their heists, as it would. Spook says, hey, late to the party. I think having the right villain for your heroes is important. Lex Luthor is only a villain to Superman, while he's just another rich guy with mooks to John Wick. Yeah, it sure is. That's a very common comic book trope where heroes or maybe even villains switch up their nemesises and confront each other. There was a Marvel, it's been a long time, but there was a Marvel, I want to call it evil Illuminati, with like the Kingpin and Doctor Doom and what are some of the other bad guys in there? Anyway, Thanos and some of these other bad guys. And what they did was they got together and switched off their nemesises. So Doctor Doom was, primarily against the Fantastic Four, and he was like, I'm going to go after the X-Men. And then Magneto's after X-Men was like, I'm going to go after the Avengers or something. And Spider-Man's, Kingpin was like, F Spider-Man, I'm going to go after somebody else. And they all kind of switched, and it was like, crisscross. I do your crime, you do mine, crisscross. And it's kind of like that. And the big reveal, of course, was that our heroes were being attacked on a front that they weren't used to because they had a different enemy. And it's kind of cool. Listen, you are so right. Yeah. Kingpin, I'm going to go after the X-Men. They pull his pants down and spank him one by one. Go back to Hell's Kitchen. Spank. Bad Kingpin. I know it. But listen, when you have the idea of like who wins in a fight, it's like whoever the writers are, right? There's always, unlike tabletop role-playing games, if you're a writer, you can make anybody win in any situation by having the right conditions. So, yeah. Could you call it plot armor? Nah, because technically every story has plot armor because whoever writes it makes the outcome come out the way it is. Tabletop role-playing games a little more difficult to do that. So, but what I would suggest is not suggest, but a learning thing from this lineup of evil guys. Oh yeah, Drew says, "Man, all the talk of Superman and Luthor makes me wish they would have made Supergirl and Lana Luthor in the TV show more sapphic or explicitly so." Yeah, a lot of times we don't see that story. Sometimes writers and the bean counters, the money people, don't want it explicit, which is just like ridiculous today. It's like just have them together. People get it. That was a famous comment of the comic writer from Marvel. Yeah, that question. Yep. Who wins in a fight? Whatever the writers decide, right? There's always, as a creator, now mind you, not every writer's good, but a creative team can always say that. Yeah, exactly. Stan Lee used to always say it when it's like, who's going to win in a fight? And it's like, you know, there's always the classic one is the Batman versus Superman thing, and it's like, well, how could Batman beat Superman? And it's like, well, now, mind you, a good writer will also include personal motivations and weaknesses and things like that. Like, for example, Batman's always thinking about taking out everyone, whereas Superman doesn't think that way. That's why Batman would win, because Batman's already thought about how he would win. Superman doesn't keep that kind of BS in his back pocket, and then that always becomes a storytelling element. Like Superman has always asked Batman, like, you've got all these ideas to take out the Justice League. Who takes you out? And that's when Batman tells Superman, that's why I have you here. Yep, Stan Lee. Who would win? Who I decide for the day. Right. Now, the audience. That's a good one. The audience wins. Yeah. So I think with Deidre, under Deidre's leadership, your bad guys would have a high level of investigation with a weakness that she leaves herself exposed, because part of one of the main things of her downfall in the series was that she was kind of going behind the back of leadership to uncover documents and information. Mind you, she needed it for success, but the Empire doesn't go for that kind of stuff. It's a fascist regime, so yeah. Now, Partagaz, right here, ye old man right here in the middle. Now, Partagaz, we never really see him specifically in the leadership role, like him telling stormtroopers what to do or something like that. Yeah, exactly, Spook. Yeah. It's like, yeah, Marvel versus DC. Had a Wolverine figure fight Lobo over Barstool. Yeah, the motivation is pretty relative. Exactly. There's a really great storyline where Wolverine teaches Colossus a lesson. They go to a bar and they have a couple of drinks, and Colossus accidentally dumps a beer on top of, what is it, Kane Marco, who's the Juggernaut, who was just sitting there having a beer, and then they have this big fight and stuff like that. And it was one of these aside things, and they both take out their anger on each other and stuff like that. And Wolverine's like, you needed that. Plus, he wanted to teach Colossus a lesson, basically, for hurting Kitty, Shadow Cat, Kitty Pryde. So I think under Partagaz, you'll get a lot more organization. And of course, you're gonna level up on the equipment, the resources. Heck, Partagaz even mentions in the ending of Andor, it's like one of the Empire agents is like, well, what reason are we going after, this character? I can't even remember her name. Clea. Like, what reason are we going after Clea? And he's like, she's diseased. And he even through his own words says We are not a spy agency. We're not enforcers. We are a medical agency, and we are here to cut out rebellion because it's an infection. It's a virus that keeps growing, and we need to cut out the infection. And so he may, using that terminology, um, yeah, Wolverine won against Lobo only because that was up to a reader poll. You know, there was also a poll back when should Robin live or die, and it was like, what was, like 50 cents per phone call or something like that, and overwhelmingly they voted for Robin to die. That's how Batman has the classic dead Robin costume in his in various iterations of Batman. They did that. I don't think comic books will ever do that again, but having the people vote on it, because it's like, if you ask a question, you're probably going to get an answer. All right, so Partagas may also be, yeah, yeah, it sure did. Died through nearly every possible option. Yep. He got poisoned, shot, hung, drowned, set on fire, beat with a blunt instrument, and then Batman saved him, or barely. So, Partagas, I think, out of all of these people, maybe Grand Moff were probably the most scariest. I think as we move up here to Krennic, as we go from left to right, when we get to Krennic, you can kind of tell Krennic moved up through the ranks, not really because of his intelligence, more or less through force of personality. He was the person that was willing to do the thing that other people probably weren't willing to do, or were a little bit scared or frightened to do. Krennic, classic cloak with the little data readers stuck in the thing, the white outfits versus the grays and blacks and whatnot. Yeah, Krennic is a bit bolder and maybe not as thoughtful, but then blames all his mistakes on everybody below him, which is also a really great weakness here for our bad guys, right? And the players could, if you do it right, the players could uncover what that weakness is, especially like an OSR style game where we really don't have mechanical features, but we have like if you find out this information, you find out how to defeat the evil. It's the idea. Yeah, it's very much a diva. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, come on, he's got some great. The actor Ben Mendelsohn has some great lines and quite a bit over the top theatrics. Maybe, just maybe, that's the weakness, right? Like, instead of like murder killing our heroes, he's got to capture them and put them up on a pedestal and show everybody that defeated them. And then maybe, the classic cloak wearing, oh no, I lost, my heroes escaped because I was monologuing too much, Yeah, in a story, there was a puppet master who was so mistrusting to everyone that he burned every supporter he ever had. That's also quite a bit of a trope as well, right? Like the villain, and we see this too often in stories. It's kind of funny too, because we see this in stories where the bad guy starts burning all his bridges because he starts, enacting violence against his own people. And you're going like, wait a minute, like, if you do this a little too often, why would you even have an entourage any longer? But we, it's a storyline. We have to see how evil the evil is. So they always take out their evil on one of their own crunchies, their own red shirts, one of their own cannon fodder mooks, whatever. And we get to see how bad they are. And then, of course, we have Grand Moff Tarkin, who literally stepped in after Krennic and was like, all right, Krennic, done with you. Give me my big weapon. Seriously, you going to bring that up? I didn't think we were going to talk about that. Yeah, they had two great actors and just wasted them on that Secret Invasion show. And the only reason the Secret Invasion show was even as good as it was because of the acting chops of Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah, in the Secret Invasion show. And I don't. Am I pronouncing Ben Mendelsohn's last name because he's got that Mendelssohn? And I don't know if there's like an accented part of his last name. I've never heard him mention his own last name. So, but yeah, it's a shame. It's unfortunate that you can have like such terrible writing and it's only strung together with like these. It's great actors with terrible dialogue strung together with useless action. It's man, yeah. And let's forget the end of that episode. Of that series, the Secret Invasion series, where we have a character who's got basically everybody else's superpowers, and you're like, yawn, yawn. So I thought I thought this would be kind of a fun thing to do here. Of course, we have Grand Moff Tarkin. He does get to use the Death Star. He does destroy Alderaan in front of our heroine going through the heroine's labyrinth storyline. If you guys know about that, with Douglas A. Burton, which also brought to mind some other story element. So anyway, just wanted to tell you guys about that. I think I'm done. I think that's it. I mean, like I said, this is a common TTRPG kind of trope, right? Where we have ourselves. Oops, this way. I'm pointing that way. So where we have ourselves like the bad guy, and then there's a bad guy behind the bad guy, and then there's another bad guy behind that bad guy. And in fantasy, we've seen this before, where we have like a cultist, and then we have like a wizard, and then there's like an evil spirit, or a fiendish monster, or a vampire lord, and a dragon lord, or something like that. And each one is upon the next one. Now, mind you, in the Empire, it's like more of a militarized kind of setup. Yours doesn't even need to be that way. It could be power vacuuming. Like every time the heroes start to take out one after another, like we've got ourselves, hopefully my cursor's circling around Cyril's face. So Cyril gets taken out, and the next person to fill that power vacuum is our Deidre style character and bad guy. And then the next one, there's another power vacuum where Partagaz takes in, and we've seen this before also as a common trope, world building trope in our tabletop games, right? There's the Orc Raiders, the PCs take out the Orc Raiders, and now there's a power vacuum for the Vampire Lord and their undead entourage to take over the place where the orc hordes were literally there simply by their own presence, keeping out the undead hordes. And you know, you can only do this so many times, but it is kind of a fun thing for the players to go, all right, well, we got rid of the giant rats, and now all of a sudden the thing that was feeding on the giant rats starts feeding on the population and innocent human beings, and the players are like, oh you know, that kind of stuff. Thank you guys, by the way, for being over there on Twitch. I really appreciate it. You guys know, let's put this back in here, the overlay. You guys know we simulcast on Twitch and YouTubes, things like that. Drew says, I guess it is fine to pronounce S-O-H-N like son. Sorry, since the German word "sohn" means son. I know that Ben is not German, but the name sounds like he was has German Jewish ancestry. Oh yeah. A lot of us have names from ancestries we don't even have a connection to. So, but they do have an origin. A lot of times, what was it? A lot of names, you were named after what you did or where you were from. So I guess Mendelssohn would be Mendel, the son of Mendel, I guess. Amusing was that the heroes later on became worried what the second in command might do after he disappeared. I'm trying to understand, because I think I know what you're saying there, Amon, where our heroes our heroes take out one of the bad guys, and now they're worried about the secondary bad guy, like, oh, someone disappeared. What the hell's going to happen now? right? And we in a weird way, we actually get to see it because Krennic did get to use the prototype of the Death Star, and then he's taken out, and then we get somebody else, Grand Moff, to come in. Also, our heroes, like in the show Andor gets to hear about like the Deidre character and the Partagas character. Well, maybe Andor didn't hear about that. Who would have heard about Partagas? Luthen or Luthian. Luthen probably would have known about that. So somehow I didn't fit Palpatine in there. I was gonna actually put Palpatine right here in the middle of a little tiny thing with his head like yes. I had thought about that. Yeah. But yes, somehow Palpatine has returned, and everyone's talking about Palpatine and whatnot. And you could have the same bad guys in your world building, just having different leadership in different regions, right? Like the orcs in the desert might be led by somebody who they have like more guerrilla warfare, whereas the orcs in the swamp may be led by someone that has maybe like arcane power or something like that. Yep, the puppet master was killed by his right hand after they were fed up with the shenanigans of his master. He disappeared afterwards, which worries the heroes greatly. Exactly, right? Like, and that's also a great way to put a twist in, or if you're bored. So you could have a very, I'll say, basic, like, since I'm talking about fantasy, you get yourself like your hobgoblin warlord or your orc chieftain or something, and halfway through you're thinking, this is kind of boring, and the player character's actions might cause the right hand man to kill the leader for the right hand man to take over, because the right hand man's probably a lot more interesting. George R.R. Martin was known for having stories around second sons. In classic cinematic storytelling, the first son is the one that takes over. Sure is. The firstborn usually takes over the leadership role in our feudal nobility cinematically, right? And second sons tend to be forgotten or left over or not have a place in the power structure. And George R.R. Martin is notorious for writing a lot of stories where, what does the second son do? Like, and he finds them more interesting because they're more of a blank slate. First sons grow up to be the next king, right? If you're using that kind of system. But second sons, what do? Do they become party animals? Do they think they're better than the first son? Are they jealous? Are they bored? Are they ineffective? Are they being groomed because they know maybe the first son is probably going to get himself killed or something like that? So there's a lot of stories about the second sons. And in House of the Dragon, it's made up of a bunch of second sons. So, yeah. And mind you, if you don't want to use nobility, second in commands don't have to be male figure, but many times that's the concept, right? One person takes over, someone is secondary because they're usually younger or born younger. And we see this in modern storytelling, right? Dad has an empire, the kids need to take over. Who gets to take over? Well, I'm the older one. And then there's the two younger. There's in each level that goes below that are younger. There's one that's the party animal, another one that's like, I was more loyal to daddy before you were, and stuff. Spook says, if anime has taught me anything, is that the right-hand man will be back in the second season wearing a mask that fools no one. Yeah. Who took over? I don't know. I was so young. For some reason, I don't know why, I didn't realize that Racer X was Rex, and it was just a play on words. I don't know why I never figured that part out. Unless I was just maybe I should have said spoiler alert. L5R had also plenty of stories about second sons. Yep, Legend of the Five Rings is full of second sons, where someone's in leadership. Okay, predictable, but then there's always the secondary person that either craves the leadership or is put into that leadership role, or has someone speaking in their ear that, hey, if your elder somehow disappears, you could step into this position because you're the more reasonable choice, right? In the story, the first son was the heir, second was the knight commander, but the third was practically forgotten, so he went out to become a merchant. Yep, that happens a lot too. Second and third sons, and I'm saying sons just to be as a generality, placeholder. But yeah, second, third, fourth sons, they all disappear or they're not spoken of. Many times, they joined religious institutions or became sages, things like that. He's like, wait, was that a Speed Racer reference? Yeah. Okay, Mach 5. Why didn't anybody put a lock on the trunk? Someone explain that to me, please. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I'm considering telling you guys a story about someone who may have lived a unique experience, and maybe you guys might tell me if you think it's true or not. Although I almost feel like having a second channel to do something like that, but since I'm so confused, it has to do with how do I describe this? I'm thinking of they tell you to write what you know. It's over everybody's head. They tell you to write what you know, and sometimes the thing that you write what you know is your personal life. And I've had a pretty interesting personal life story that's a bit so fantastical to be like fiction. So I'm wondering if it would be good canon fodder. What is easy to do as a DM are levels of competency for different stages of evil problems. Huh. I agree with that. Let me put your comments back up here. Yeah. Says, okay, something went over my head and I'm not proud to admit it. Well, it would go over everyone else's head without the context to it. So sorry about that. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of newer anime. Well, not only am I a little bit older, I don't have an opportunity to do so because I'm always busy. So that's it. But yeah, yeah, one of those lives I envy, but sure don't. I get that. Yeah. It's not really safe for work at all. It isn't safe for work, but it's like it was a confluence of different people's personalities that came together, and pretty hot and bothered. If it didn't work out, but it was like 10 years of pretty good living, and as a person who suffers from compersion, I guess it would be suffer from compersion. It's you would only understand if you have that trait. So yeah, this big old nerd right here, yeah. Yeah, I think you would be into it there, Drew, because it does involve a bit of there's, let's just say that the gender mixing and matching is we went for it at that time. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, maybe I would. What I may do is because I actually thought about like once I retire, I've got 2.5 years before I retire. So while it's a long 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. Yeah. I was there was a let's just say our characters were a open-minded nerd, a lady of the streets, and a young lady who lived a religious life that was very insular. and those three individuals somehow got together in a um what's it called, what do you guys call it today, thruple constellation, um yeah, that was on and off. Yeah, it was really cool. It hard to describe. It happened during like the 90s, and it was at a time when, like, today you young folk don't mind, but at the time it was like very taboo and difficult to describe to like family and friends and things like that. So yep, I had a mentor slash tutor slash, yeah. So I work on a new mutant and mastermind character, a former agent, so his expertise should be uncanny for the heroes he works with now. Huh? Because you're deep into your you let me stop sharing this out here. You're deep into your mutants and mastermind game. I forgot about that. Sorry about that. Yeah. Make a sitcom out of it. You would get 10 such seasons out of it. Yeah. Yeah. It was, yeah. Mm. Two people on opposite sides of a lifestyle that just came together. Moved we Maybe I might do that like on a Saturday or something like that. I don't know. It'd be pretty interesting. I know there's people who have YouTube channels that are just dedicated to telling their stories and things like that. And this one's pretty fantastical. But yeah, I think it's conversion. Yeah, Ishtar saying a special agent who to hunt mages or mutants who broke the law. Now he's on the other side of the law himself. That's always common, right? That's our Deidre character who gets arrested and put into Narkina 5. I don't know, it might not be Narkina, but whatever. And it's like, you're on the opposite side of the law. So this was like, not to sound dismissive, I was trying to keep it light. Nah. No. That's I'm a man of a certain age. It's been a long time, so yeah. No, you were quite. It's not dismissive at all. But a lot of times these stories sound very indulgent. Dare I say, like masturbatory? If you're like a dude, it would sound better if it came from the ladies that were involved in it. But yeah, no longer that way. Yeah, I'm not a person who's like, for I don't have hatred for like exes and things like that. I think that's pretty ridiculous. It's like, I want people to have the best life they have. Like I said, I suffer from compersion, so whatever. Yeah, it says you could be a guest on. Hey there, what's going on? It says you could be a guest on another channel, then you don't have to commit your time to another channel. Yeah, that's true. Although there's plenty of times where I've thought about like doing more interviews with people, but like I said, my channel is not very big, and I don't have a lot of reach, so there's not really a good reason for people to come to me, and there's no reason for me to go on other people's channels. They don't know me, so. But yeah. That's true. Yeah, what's the point of being old if you don't indulge in nostalgia from time to time? I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah, I would say I'd probably be like the geek or nerd superhero if I explained the story out the way it is. It wasn't all like peaches and cream and sunshine and rainbows and butterflies and stuff, but it does give an insight, I suppose, for people to think of alternate lifestyles, and maybe that might or might not be for them. So yeah, maybe. Yeah. So says compersion, new word for me. Thanks. Time to get into this. Yeah. Oh no, they're both knocked out. I can't get the cat cam. Let's see. Let's do this. I will, let's, you know what, I'll even share this out and then get out of here. So the immediate Google search on this um, says that a term often used in a polyamorous community describes the feeling of joy or happiness experienced when a partner is emotionally or sexually involved with another person. It's essentially the opposite of jealousy, where one might feel threatened or possessive when a partner is with someone else. According to Psychology Today, compersion can be a feeling of warmth or joy when witnessing a partner's happiness in a relationship with another person. And yeah, I've got that. So anyway, no, well, I mean, all words are made up. So, but I think it was, yeah, it was coined in the past, coined in the 1980s by the Karista community. I couldn't remember what it was, but yes, back then, yep, blend of compassion and person. Yep. It's because even right now, like my ex-wife lives. I deliver mail here. We moved here back in 2000, and she lives on one of the routes in the station that I have. And I'm trying. I had been way back in the past. I had tried to get the carrier that carried on that route to meet her because I think it would be kind of cool if they hooked up. I personally, we're like oil and water, right? I haven't spoken to her in 20 years, probably 15, 20 years, maybe. But I've always wished the best for everybody that I've ever met. And yeah, it's a thing. It's a little hard to describe because if you don't have it, it just sounds like ugh. But it is. Dude, this sounds like this modern trend of making up a disorder or condition out of a simple personality trait that's not necessarily a problem at all. Yeah, I said that's me. That's my word saying that I suffer from that thing. I'm not suffering from anything, but but that's just me doing that. Yeah. Not too many people have it. It's a difficult trait to find in people, but if you find it, that trait lends itself excellently for people who are in more than a two-person relationship, and it's also a little bit embarrassing too. So yeah, but so guys, have a great one. Maybe you might do one on like a Saturday or something like that. So yeah, it's not a disorder. It's a it's a personality trait that's hard to find. Like what's another personality trait that's difficult to find? Um, like okay, like right now today, it's very difficult. There are many people who are working from home, but for people who are working from home, some of those individuals are having a hard time working from home because they're very social. They're like not necessarily socialites, but they like social interactions. Even if they feel awkward talking with people. Some people like to be quiet in social settings. And so, yeah, and that's a weird trait to feel like you have. You're like, I don't want to talk with people, but I like being around people. And, balancing that out can be a little bit odd because some people are so introverted. They're like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to be around them. I'd rather stay at home by myself. It's too much stress. And Karen's personality trait. You're bad. Bad, Drew. Bad. Yeah, some humans just like company, even if they don't talk with them. I'm kind of like that too. Like I don't need to have a conversation with you, but I don't mind being surrounded by other people who they themselves are having conversations with other people. Like I said, I like people to be happy, and I'm happier when other people are happy. So yeah. So sometimes taken to the extreme, but but that's fine, right? So you guys have a great one. Have a great day, everybody, and thanks for stopping by here. Everyone who found the channel. Yeah, 12 people here. Thanks. Started out talking about. I don't know, levels of evil or the Empire or something like that. But we always end the show on something strange or different, or maybe even some insight or whatever. So we just like hanging out. Coming over here is like hanging out at the game table before or after a game and stuff. There it is. Yeah, I prefer to be alone in a crowd. Alan Shore. I didn't know someone even said that. Yeah, the being all social in a home office thing led me to hit the bars a lot. Ooh, be careful about that one. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's a thing, right? Some people want to go out and socialize and like have a drink, go to a bar, tavern, whatever you may go, bar and grill or something like that, to just be around people. And then how your brain can do that radar thing where you can pick up on different conversations and stuff. That's really cool. Pepper McGow, hey, what's up? Well, I've been trying to start the show at 6 a.m. I've been hitting it at 6:15, so I apologize for that. The human part of me, yeah, the human part of me has kind of went out. I also want to get some ideas from you guys too. Subjects that we've been talking about. I've been going back and forth with some of the AI dystopia that's hitting our way. I thought I'd mix it up back and forth, but whatever. I got over the bar hitting thing. Okay. Yep. That's a real thing too. Yeah, if you've got like a home office and you want to talk with people, just like random, then that means you've got to work with at home and you have to have chat windows and things like that. It's not the same thing as like walking over, leaning over, and telling somebody about an idea you had and whatnot. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, one of my ideas was to write a book, and this I love science fiction, and I've had an interesting lifestyle, and combining the two together and just writing a book about it, and I even have a template for writing the book too. We've got like the hero's journey, and we've got like the heroine's labyrinth and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of different. And I'm picking those two, but there's a lot of different ways to write your life story, and then change the names and add different stuff in there and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah, the we used to call it the water cooler, right? The coffee breaks, right? The communal area where everybody hangs out, whether it's supposed to be communal or not, and just talking about like what happened during your day or the television show, or I'm on this grapefruit diet or something like that. Drew says, I know I'm quite a Debbie Downer, but I always enjoy DBJ as a cheerleader with all this. See, and I can't help but not be positive. I'm a glass half full person rather than glass half empty, and I like to, like I said, I like to see other people happy, and when they're happy, it makes me happy. And then I guess it's like a feedback loop. So when I'm surrounded by more propensity of people being happy around me, I tend to offer that energy to other people who aren't. So, yep. Taking a break can also be rather disruptive because you are alone. Sometimes good solutions appear in the water cooler talks. I definitely agree with that one. It's just like that's what the channel's basically about, right? Having some conversations, some jokes, just being social, and then going like, oh, and then that light sparks in your head, and I didn't even think about it. Thanks, and you get your OneNotes or your Obsidian or your Google Doc or whatever, or your notes on your phone, and you write it down, or you record it, or you send yourself an email or whatever, and you go, man, I'm gonna steal that ideas, and it's like, yeah, of course we always talk about stealing ideas because that's what we do. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show, and thank you very much for encouraging me in your in the ways that you approach here, because we have nothing but positivity over here. Pepper McGow says, so people are saying introversion is a disorder? Seems like another case of a trait not being useful to corpse being. No. Oh, we're not saying that at all. And I'm not saying that. Everybody's who they are. I don't. If you are who you are, without taking away someone else's self identity, then I have no problem with you being who you are. Like if you're a person who's such an introvert that you like hanging out with people, but you really don't want to have anything to say, then it doesn't make me uncomfortable that you're not talking, right? Some people, they find it uncomfortable to be around other people who don't talk, but we can sit and hang out and, you know, what is it? Go back to back and read a book or something like that. That's cool with me. Grapefruit diet. That's another thing I got to try now that Mahajatois isn't in the cards anymore. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I fell into a 10-year one of those just by accident. Maybe I will explain it Saturday. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do like storytelling Saturday or something like that. So, but anyway, guys, have a great one. I'll talk. We'll talk to you later. You have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility. Bye. And also, happy gaming and happy life. You guys have a good one. I'll see you later. Bye.